Hey, what's up, guys? Hope you guys are having a good day. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, the Black Business School. I thought that I would just kind of pop in real quick because I just finished. We actually do an options investing masterclass on Wednesday nights, so you can feel free to join us if you want to. You can go to drboycemasterclass.com. That's drboycemasterclass.com. I'm really intrigued with what's going on with the presidential election. I told you guys what my thoughts are in terms of voting. I don't believe in voter suppression, so I'm not going to let them suppress my vote by forcing me to vote for somebody just because I'm supposed to be afraid of Donald Trump. I'm just not going to do that. So because I don't believe in voter suppression, I'm not going to let them use me. I'm going to vote when I feel like the candidate is somebody that I can really vote for. But anyway, you know, give me 1 second here. Yeah, so here's the thing. Kamala Harris is heavily disliked by you guys. I'm telling you. What's going on, Jordan? Good to see you, man. Kamala Harris, I did a survey because I wasn't sure how other people felt. I mean, who cares about what I think? I was really curious to see what you guys thought. And I'm going to just tell you, the survey results were really surprising. I mean, people really don't like Kamala. They don't trust her. So the opinions are pretty strong, with regard to Kamala. And so I thought that I would ask on my Instagram. I just asked, what do you like or dislike about Kamala Harris? And so I thought that just to make sure the voices of the people get heard, that I would just share what people are saying about Kamala Harris, what you guys wrote. Now, by the way, if you want to know the survey results, I'm trying to pull them up so I can actually give you the latest data. Who knows? Maybe they need to hire me to do consulting so I can tell them how to quit messing up so bad. I'm kidding. Don't hire me. Please don't hire me. I don't want to work for white people. I've done that. That wasn't fun. So 2/3 of you, at least 2/3 of the people that follow this platform, and y'all know, you're not regular black people. I actually did a survey and found that when we did the Black Stock Market Weekend, 2/3 of the people that follow me actually graduated from college. But then the 1/3 of you who didn't graduate from college, that's okay. You're still smart. Like, as far as I'm concerned, you're smarter than people I know. I taught college 25 years. I know a piece of paper does not make you smarter than other people. If that were true, then we wouldn't have, some of the idiots run around here like we do now. But I think that what's really true is that in this platform, I think we attract smart, courageous black people, who don't need white people to hand them their self-esteem, who have critically thought about what we're being dealt in this country, and who kind of just know we've been getting a raw deal, who are just sick of it, who are just like, man, forget this stuff, man. We're not doing the same thing over. Now, mind you, some of y'all are still going to vote, and I think that's okay. I'm not telling you not to, what to do. You guys know I believe in freedom. A lot of black folks don't really understand the definitions of terms like freedom or power. If you really believe in black people having freedom, then stop shaming people because they choose to wait for a better deal. Stop making people feel bad because of what they choose to do. And I'm gonna tell you, I watch the liberals and I watch the conservatives, and the liberals are the worst when it comes to shaming people and attacking people. You talk about Republicans doing voter suppression. No, the only time you feel like they're suppressing your vote is when they stop black people from voting for you. When really voter suppression comes from forcing people to do something they don't want to do, forcing them to vote for a candidate they don't want to vote for. If a black person says, you know what, God bless Biden and Kamala, but I'm not participating, that is their right. So and anybody who disagrees, I got a problem. Because ain't nobody out here, the folks in this space, we're not going out telling other black people, you can't go to work, or don't you go work for that white man, or you better stay home. We don't do that. It's like, just leave us alone. Like, let people make the decision that works best for them. And if the Democrats are upset that Trump might get reelected, due to, certain folks staying home or choosing to do something different, I'm going to tell you, they need to look in the mirror. If you're mad that Trump's going to get reelected and you really care about it, then you need to do a better job of luring black people to the polls, because black people don't come cheap anymore. Black people don't come free. Slavery's over, baby. Yeah, seriously, I'll be like Vicky Dunn. Look, baby, slavery done ended, baby. So at the end of the day, black people don't belong to you. We're not your children. We're not your slaves. We're not your hired guns. We're not the help. Like they need the help. They need the help to show up in order for them to win an election. And I'm not trying to be the help. I'll help you if you help the people that I care about. But if you're not helping the people I care about, then fuck you and the horse you rode in on. That's just the honest to God truth. So let me just tell you guys why I decided to do this quick live. Hit the thumbs up button if you could. On the count of 3, everybody please hit the thumbs up button so we can get people into the conversation. 1, 2, 3. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Everybody hit the thumbs up button, please. I would really appreciate that very much. So I asked you guys on my Instagram. My Instagram is The Real Boyce Watkins. I said, what do you like or dislike about Kamala Harris? Like I've shared my opinion, but my opinion doesn't mean as much as your opinion. So I shared my opinion, but now I want to hear what your opinion is. And so I'm gonna read some of the comments, and if anything comes to mind, I'll mention it. Afro-American 1 says her record on criminal justice and who she's married to. I don't trust her. Well, I mean, yeah, it is interesting. I mean, they people want to act like who you marry doesn't matter, but it matters. It matters. I wouldn't feel comfortable sitting up here trying to, play a part in guiding the community on all this pro-black stuff if I'm sitting next to a blonde-haired white woman as my wife. Like if I have a wife who's not black, how can I really say I respect black women if I don't feel like you're good enough for me to marry? And that's controversial. It's not anything against people who choose to marry interracially. I have people in my family who have married interracially, and it probably makes people feel a little bit uncomfortable, but I have to be honest and say that, who you choose, what you feel attracted to does reflect something about your mindset. And so, Kamala's married to a white attorney. I'm not telling her that she shouldn't be married to him, but anybody who gets mad that we bring that up, I'm gonna tell you, I don't think they'd be happy if there was some brother trying to run and he got a white woman next to him everywhere he goes. A lot of black women would get mad about that. I mean, tell me, sisters who are in the room, would that kind of make you like give him the side eye a little bit? Where you like, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. So, I think that who she marries does make a difference. It does tell you something about what she values and how she thinks. Let's see. Lynette says, I don't trust her either, and she was definitely not my choice. When she did not open her damn mouth on the Mario Woods murder in San Francisco when she was attorney general, I lost it with her, and she surely should have, because she could have helped to change things right then and there. But she had the backing of the police unions wholeheartedly at one time. Now, I don't know much about the Mario Woods case, so I can't speak to that. But I can speak to, there was another brother, I don't have his name in front of me, but he went to prison falsely in San Francisco, and he's been speaking heavily about Kamala's unique, specific role in making sure that he got convicted, even though there was no physical evidence linking him to the crime. It was only eyewitness testimony, and they found out that the eyewitness testimony was wrong. So, I don't know much about that. I think it's probably, I imagine it, of course it's difficult when you've done all the things that Kamala's done in her career. It's difficult to keep up with every single case, every situation. But I do think that there's something to be said about whether or not her actions were so politically driven that she threw some people under the bus in order to get an opportunity. Because that whole relationship with what is that old man she was dating back in San Francisco? I forgot his name. Willie Brown. She's 28 years old. You dating a man that's twice your age. He was literally in his 60s, and she was like 29 or 30. And she tries to act like it never happened, but it did. It happened. They have pictures together, and she got opportunities from that relationship. So that tells me Kamala is very ambitious. She probably grew up wanting to be president. I believe that she will be president. I think that Kamala is willing to do whatever it takes. Kamala is a little bit like a real life version of Olivia Pope to me. She got the white man. She's going into the halls of power, and if you look at where a lot of her base of support comes from, it comes from a lot of it's really sort of a victory for integrationists. And if you think about this, right? And no disrespect, my sister's an AKA. I don't have nothing against AKAs. I was actually going to marry an AKA at one point. But anybody who knows anything about AKAs knows that that there's a stereotype: long skin, light hair, or so light skin, long hair. Sorry, I said it wrong, but you know what I'm talking about. Like if you're darker, they're not necessarily always so quick to want you to join the sorority. Some people behave that way, and I think it's abominable, but it does happen. Well, Kamala, if you think about that, why would there be this preference for light skin or to be in a certain class, right? You're talking about the black elite, right? The black elite, the light skin is a good thing because you're closer to whiteness, right? And also, you're the black elite. Some of these individuals, particularly black professional elites, are heavily invested in integration. They're not the ones who are going to just quit everything and go start a business and, dream of building their own town and their own community and their own schools. They're the ones who want their children to get into the really good white schools. They're the ones maybe, and I'm not stereotyping all of them because I'm talking about a lot of my friends. So if you are in that category, I'm not dissing you at all. If you're a black professional, this is not a diss. This is just us having a reflection about sort of what we're trained to think growing up. We're trained to sort of view black success and black progress through the eyes of whiteness. Meaning that being close to whiteliness is being close to godliness. Success. My dream of success is if I am part of that black elite. My dream of success is getting the fancy corporate job at the law firm or whatever. It is getting into Harvard and Yale so I can be next to rich white people. It is living in certain neighborhoods, where the rich white people live. It is getting into the halls of power, and the greatest symbol of the halls of power is the White House. So when Obama got elected and you saw this black family in the White House, there was a lot of pride because we are white supremacists for the most part. We really believe that whiteness is kind of the gold standard. And so if you get approval from whites and you're standing next to whites and you're equal or beyond equal to whites, like you're among the most powerful whites, then you are a successful black person. So I think that there are lots of people who just really think it's cool to have a black woman in the White House because they view that as progress. I'm a little bit more, I'm going to say more evolved, but not in a condescending way. The reason I'm going to say more evolved is because I used to think that way. I remember 20 years ago, I thought that the idea of a black president or a black vice president was a big deal. Now I'm to the point where I've let go of the white supremacist side of who I am. I don't care how many white people love you. I don't hate white people. I don't even care enough about white people to dislike them anymore. I don't care enough. You can't trigger me. You can call me the N-word. I don't care. It does not matter to me because what white people think of me does not play any part in what I think of myself as a human being, because I think that one of your steps to progress and sovereignty, and going back to that word called freedom, is to be able to shape your own self-esteem, to be able to shape what it means to be a successful black person without having interference from your oppressor. If you think that success means getting closer to your oppressor, then I don't really know what to do with you. Now, I see somebody keeps mentioning get your money back from Jay Morrison. I'm gonna just say this: if you do it again, I'm gonna have to block you out of the chat, mainly because I invested in the Tulsa Fund. And I haven't had any problems with the Tulsa Fund. And one thing I'll say this is that, when you look at the people that are seeking to smear something that, was pretty historic in the black community, there are people that have an agenda to do that. I encourage anybody who wants to know what's going on with Jay Morrison and the Tulsa Fund. I'm not sitting here trying to vouch for people that I don't know, or I don't know how they run their business, but I am going to say that I'm going to have to block you out of here, man, because you're being very disruptive. That's deliberately malicious behavior. And I think we have enough of that in the black community where people are just running around trying to destroy black people just to make themselves feel better. So I don't really want you here, brother. I'm sorry. You got to go, Neely. But, I'll say this. If you want to know my thoughts on the whole, there is controversy around the Tulsa Fund and people really screaming out accusations. But what I will say is this. There was an FBI investigation. There was an SEC investigation. And they found no wrongdoing. They went through thousands and thousands of pages of documents, tens of thousands of dollars spent on legal fees, and there was no wrongdoing. I'm an investor in the Tulsa Fund, and I haven't seen anything that has caused me alarm. Now, I do know that there were people who were saying, well, I want a refund. I want my money back. Well, the thing is, in the contract, it says that there is a lockup period. When you invest in a fund and there's a lockup period, that means that you can't get your money out before a certain time because the fund needs time to grow. It's like a new fund is like a baby in an incubator. When the baby's really little, you got to leave the baby alone. You got to let the baby grow. And so you can't just go in and start pulling money out because you're invested in real estate, which is a highly illiquid investment. So I'm not sitting here trying to say on any level that I know all the details of everything in terms of Jay Morrison operations. But I will say that anybody who sees all that chit chat and conversation, just know that there are some people who might have legitimate concerns, and those concerns should be responded to. But then there are some people who will literally just ignore all information. They don't care about the SEC investigation results. They don't care about the FBI investigation results. They just want to say you're a fraud because you're succeeding and they're not, or you're doing well and they're not. Then you must be a fraud because you're doing well and I'm not, and I'm mad about that. And I just think that that's wrong. I do. So that's all I'm going to really say on that. But I will just say, Black people, you got to stop that, man. Seriously. If you have an issue, then, if you think somebody did something wrong, then go to court and prove it. If you feel like somebody did something wrong or illegal, then fine, go present documents in the court of law, but the court of Instagram don't count. You can get on YouTube and say anything about anybody. And I'm going to just tell you, COINTELPRO is very real. And my definition of COINTELPRO is when I see any entity or any individual who goes around the community simply seeking to destroy things. They're not creating anything that's better. They're not building something that's positive. They're not seeking to bridge gaps. They're not looking for understanding. They're not looking for progress. They're not seeking unity. They're just destroy. That's what I call the Negro naysayers. And the Negro naysayers, I have nothing for them. There's these individuals are not. I mean, they're probably worse than the KKK in my opinion. So that's my 2 cents on that, and that's why this brother got blocked out. Anybody else who comes in there with that kind of nonsense is going to get blocked out of the chat, not because I'm not willing to hear you, but because you're acting like a goddamn child. You're acting like a fucking idiot, and we ain't got time for that shit. So anyway, do me a favor, guys. If you could, please hit the thumbs up button, share, and subscribe button if you haven't done it yet. Let me read some more of the comments here. And actually before I do that, let me do the quick Black business shout out. Just so you know, we're advertising Black businesses for free on the Black Business School Instagram page, which is the Real Black Business School. And actually, I'm going to give you guys the link to the Instagram page. So if you have a Black-owned business, we do Black business shout-outs. And if you put your business in there with the URL and the name of your company and one line about what you do, then I will read that on my channel for free. I can't do every business, but I'm going to grab a few every single day because I want to support Black businesses, and we will do this absolutely free of charge. So the businesses here, I see The Bean Brothers Coffee. THE, The Bean Brothers Coffee. Bean Brothers. I like that. It's a nice name. So The Bean Brothers Coffee. Looks like they sell coffee. 2020 Experience Tease. And they spell experience without the E. Business tip, try to make your URL easily spellable where somebody can say it and they won't misspell it. But just spell Experience Tease. It's TES, 2020 Experience Tease. Okay, they said it's out of business. Well, thanks ahead of time for shouting us out when you do. You're out of business, or you mean out business? Oh, it's your business, our business. Okay, it looks like there's a typo there. That's cool. There's Detroit Book City, small independent bookstore that specializes in African books for the entire family. That's DetroitBookCity.com. So I like that. That's a good name. Easy to spell, easy to say. All right, guys. So let me read more. I asked you guys on my Instagram, which is The Real Boyce Watkins, what you think about Kamala Harris. My goal is to reveal the truth. So let's see what else is here. Someone else says that they don't like, I mentioned Doug Emhoff, her husband. So it looks like her having a white husband makes a big difference to people. Faye Bishop sent me over a screenshot of a birth certificate. Tell me, guys, if you know anything about this. She claims that Kamala put Caucasian, or somebody put Caucasian on her birth certificate. Does anybody know about that? That she was listed as Caucasian on her birth certificate? Let me see if I can Google it. Let me see here. Kamala Harris, Caucasian birth certificate. Let's see. Kamala Harris is Asian and Black. That shouldn't be confusing. Okay. Kamala Harris's biracial heritage has thrown conservatives into a tailspin. So Forbes is saying, what does Forbes say? This is a Black woman who wrote this. Top line conservatives are moving to discredit Senator Kamala Harris's potential to become the first Black woman vice president by questioning her racial heritage. Let me see here. Because she's Indian and Jamaican. Let's see. I don't see anything about her being Caucasian though. I got to find that. Tell me if anybody else. Tell me if you saw that. If anybody saw that where they were saying that she's that she was listed as Caucasian. Because I have it on my phone. Because Faye texted it over. Let me see. I got to give credit where it's due. This was sent to me by Faye Bishop. Let me see. Yeah. So there's something like City of Alameda, and where it's circled in red on my phone, you can't read it, but right here, circled in red, it says Caucasian. So I don't know if that's her mother said she was Caucasian. Is that what her mother said? Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, yeah, Kamala might want to be called, you might want to call it chameleon, because chameleon, she kind of seems to morph and change into whatever you need her to be, which might make her the perfect politician, but it also makes her into what might appear to be a little bit of an opportunist. Let's see here. In terms of other reasons why people don't like her, someone says, I have a better question. What do you like about Trump to keep him in office? Yeah, Colwood Pick said that. And I think that's kind of a juvenile question to ask, because, if your response to concerns about the Democratic Party is always to come back and say, well, what about Trump? What about Trump? What about Trump? There's two ways to kind of address that. One is the reason that we talk more about Kamala and the Democrats than we talk about Trump is because the Republicans don't get 90% of the black vote. An understanding of politics would lead you to conclude and realize that it's the politicians you vote for that actually owe you something. The ones you support are the ones who should be doing things for you. The ones you didn't support are not going to put you at the front of the line. Dr. Claude Anderson talks about that. That's called quid pro quo. So anybody who says, yeah, the Democrats didn't do anything, but what did the Republicans do? Well, that's like saying, if somebody says, well, your mother, when you were a baby, your mother never fed you. And they say, yeah, but what did the mamas down the street do? They didn't do nothing. They didn't feed me neither. Well, that's not your mama. That's not your goddamn mama. Right? Your mama was supposed to feed you because you're her child. So the Republicans really don't owe you that much because you don't vote Republican. If black people were all voting Republican, then we would have conversations about the Republicans and say, okay, you got our vote. What are you going to give us in exchange? Or like if you go, like think about it. Imagine if you went to work and you work for 40 hours and your boss owed you $2,000 for working 40 hours. And you said, I like my paycheck, please. And what if your boss said, I'm not giving you nothing? And you say, well, why aren't you paying me? You owe me. I work for you. And then what if your boss turned back and said, well, what about Target? Target didn't give you any money. What about Walmart? They didn't send you any money. Amazon didn't give you any money. And it would be like, no, but I don't work for Amazon. I don't work for Target. I don't work for Walmart. I don't expect money from them. I expect money from you because you're the one I gave my time to. So the Republicans aren't the people to be looking at unless you vote Republican. Now, if you are a black Republican, then hell yeah, you need to be over there talking to Trump and his people and saying, what are you going to do for me? I'm giving you my vote. You owe me, right? But you can't go to people who don't owe you anything and demand the same that you would demand from somebody where you actually made the investment. That doesn't make any sense. That's like planting tomatoes and expecting dog food to grow out of the ground. It doesn't work that way. Second thing, when you go and you respond, when you say, well, what are you going to do to earn my vote? The Democrats aren't doing enough for black people. And somebody says, well, yeah, what about Trump? That's not a good tactic either for some people, because critical thinkers are going to realize that you're just using scare tactics. You're using the same tactics they've been using on black people for decades, which is basically taking advantage of the fact that black people have low self-esteem and they feel like they have no options. So basically they corner you. This is a form of voter suppression. They talk about voter suppression as if only the Republicans do it, but actually the Democrats do it too, right? Because the right to vote means nothing if you don't have the right to vote for who you want to vote for. The right to vote means nothing if somebody's pressuring you to vote for a particular party every single time, right? The right to vote means nothing. That's like me giving you, the right to leave the house, but I tell you exactly where you have to go. right? That's not really, you're not really giving me any rights. You're only using me for a different purpose. So when you talk about voter suppression is not just Republicans keeping black people away from the polls. It's Democrats controlling black people when they let you into the polls. And believe me, when the Republicans or when the Democrats are fighting to get black people to show up and vote, they would be livid if Kanye West showed up and said, yeah, let's have a get out the vote drive. And everybody who votes, I want them to come vote for me. Or I want them to come vote for Trump. So they don't want you to get out to vote so you can just vote your conscience. They want you to get out to vote so you can vote for them. They want you to put gas in the car so they can drive the car to go see their other girlfriend and ignore you until it's time for you to give them some more gas money. And I'm not telling people what to do. I don't tell anybody. I'm not into influencing people to tell them who to vote for. I'm saying vote for yourself, right? Vote for yourself. Whatever, your conscience tells you to do, that's what you should do. And anybody who has a problem with me saying that black people should do what's best for them, you got to really process that for a minute. Why would you not want me to tell black people to do what's best for black people? Because if you care about black people, wouldn't you want black people to do what's best for themselves? Or are you a black person who tells black people to do what's best for white people who are in the Democratic Party? I mean, think about that. This is ABC 1, 2, 3. This is 2 + 2 = 4. This ain't calculus. This ain't even advanced algebra. This is 2 + 2 = 4. You got to process that for a minute. So let me look at some more points. Hit the thumbs up button. If you haven't hit the thumbs up button, please hit the thumbs up button. Okay, let's see here. Brother Soul Productions says she's another puppet for white supremacy. Okay. Cusham says her stands on marijuana. She locked up many people of color over weed. Yeah, that's a problem. I personally think that if she gets elected, I'm hopeful that she would shift her priorities. If she does get into the White House, I think the country has kind of let her know that way of thinking is not acceptable. And given that Kamala is she's a chameleon, I could see her shifting that policy. But really, if you're talking about things like mass incarceration and being tough on crime and stuff like that, I mean, you remember, a lot of people got upset because Trump, claimed to be the law and order president. Well, Biden and Harris have the record of being law and order leaders. I mean, Trump is a lot of talk. He's a lot of bluster. He's like, oh, we're going to build the wall, but there is no wall, right? Or, oh, we're going to go send in the National Guard, but then he doesn't do it, right? So I can't really point to any specific like mass incarceration initiatives where Trump passed some bill that got thousands and thousands and thousands of black people locked up. Tell me if I'm wrong. If Trump passed a bill I don't know about that got thousands of black people locked up. You can go back and look at Biden's record and see where he played a significant role in getting probably millions of black people locked up when he passed those crime bills with Bill Clinton back in the 1990s. If you go back and you read up on Kamala Harris's role when she was the DA of San Francisco, California Attorney General, a lot of liberals have a real issue with her record as a prosecutor. They felt that she's more like a Republican. And they claim she did that because she wanted to get the Republican votes. She wanted to win. She's a person that likes to win. She's a winner. That's the best way to put it. But also you could also argue, if you want to put it in a more negative way, you could say that she's potentially manipulative or opportunistic, or you could just say that she wins, whichever one you want to use. Let's see. How do you feel about Kanye saying he spoke to Jared Kushner about powernomics? I didn't hear about that, but I think that's great if he did. Yeah, I think powernomics is a great principle. And I think one thing about powernomics principles or black building, wealth building, etc. And this is something that's hard to accept, but it's not a liberal concept. It doesn't fit well with white liberal ideologies. And we feel this indebtedness to white liberals because they tend to support anything that is sort of anti-establishment, anti-capitalism, etc. So they do a good job of standing up against things like police brutality or racism, which I think is great. But then they bring along this sort of liberal ideologies that don't align with black culture very well. Like a lot of black people I know are not comfortable with, I remember when Oprah was telling people to shout out your abortion. Like if you have an abortion, brag about it on Twitter and Instagram. Like, I got an abortion. Like most people don't. That's not common sense for a lot of people. Or the way that the LGBT conversation sort of happens. It's not being gay that's the crime. It's sort of expecting people in church to congratulate you because you slept with a dude last night. Most black people I know are not with that. They're not going to beat you up for being, they don't care who you slept with. Half the people in the church are sleeping with somebody that nobody knows about. But it's like, keep that shit to yourself. That's what it is. And same thing with the whole, Cardi B proud hoe. Like, I'm a proud hooker. I'll sell my vagina for $14 and a trip to Taco Bell. Like, black folks ain't with that. I mean, we're always with sex. Everybody likes sex. Like I said, if you go to church, half the people are freaks in the church. Y'all know this, right? But it's not something that you just throw out there, right? Like, everybody takes a shit, but it's not appropriate to shit in public. That's all it is. So really, that whole, proud hoe, body positivity, slut shaming conversation doesn't gel well with a lot of black folks, because we believe in family. We believe that there's a time and a place for everything. We believe more in structure. We believe more in community. We care more about the village, not you being comfortable being, a proud hooker who is selling your body in front of your children and then bragging about your abortion. Like, most black folks are not with that, at least the ones that are in my space. And I think that doesn't align very well with the liberal ideology. I think also a lot of black people I talk to, they're just tired of white people telling them what to do. That's it. They're tired of their boss telling them what to do. They're tired of sending their children to a shitty public school system that's going to mistreat them and put all the black boys in little concentration camps called special education so that they get thrown off their path. They're tired of going to big white universities and going $300,000 in debt just to get a bachelor's degree that won't even get them a good job, right? People are just sick of that. And I think that there are just folks that have just evolved where they're just looking for better solutions. They're looking for, they realize, like, wait a minute, you told me integration was freedom, but this is not freedom. This is an occupation. You basically co-opted us. You have, what's the word? It's an acquisition. You acquired us and pulled us into your institutions and made us into second-class citizens because you needed good slaves. And so there are black folks who are really looking for freedom and trying to figure out what that looks like. And if you're in that category, I congratulate you, because I get you. I get exactly what you're feeling. And I want you to find that truth in whatever way you can. But I think one thing that we know is that there is no space where your oppressor is really going to work hard for your liberation. They're just not. They have no incentive. Why would I, as a white person, if I'm built on white privilege and I have my institutions that feed off of you, that literally just connect and wire into you, and we're sucking all the money out of your community and sucking all the resources out, what incentive do I have to liberate you from that? We got a good thing going. I'm the pimp, you the hoe. Pimps and hoes work together. I'm the drug dealer, you're the drug addict. As a dealer, I can't deal drugs if I don't have an addict to sell them to. So they really like you kind of right where you are. And it's a beautiful thing when they're able to actually get black people to put pressure on other black people to not think critically. Right? Like, stop all that critical thinking. Stop thinking for yourself. Stop thinking that you could do it on your own. You need the white man to do this. Like, there are black people who literally make fun of other black people for believing that they can start their own business. But they'll congratulate your ass for getting a job, right? Because that means you're better, because the white man wants you. Like, oh, congratulations, they hired you at the such and such a firm, and and so when I look at, like, Kamala. And I don't even hate Kamala Harris. I really don't. I know people like her. I know a lot of bougie black people. Some of them are in this chat. It's just now you're waking up. You're seeing the world in a different way. That's why you're here. You're taking the blue pill instead of the red pill, or whatever it is that happened in the Matrix. So now you're kind of looking outside the Matrix, or at least you have enough open-mindedness to explore other possibilities. Why? And I think the reason that you're doing that is because something inside of you is telling you that there's got to be more than this. Right? Something inside of you. You're going through what I went through. I remember I had achieved the American dream. I had the Kamala Harris dream. I was the only black man in the country to get a PhD in finance during the year 2002. It was really hard. It wasn't no bullshit, go to school for 6 weeks, in a summer program type PhD. This was a real doctorate. It took me many years to do this. And so I got done. I was the hot Negro on the block. I mean, I had all these job offers, making all kinds of money. I had a PhD in finance, and I was kind of there. I had the ticket to be successful. And I remember just saying, man, if this is what it's like at the top, then I can't imagine how black people must feel at the bottom. Because I've been at the top and the bottom, and I didn't like either one of them. And I was like, okay, is this really the top? But then you look out the building and you realize, wait a minute, if I look out the building, there is something higher than the top. I thought that this was the top, but actually there's a ceiling blocking me from reaching my truest potential. So you look out the window and you realize, wait a minute, I can go on the roof, or I can actually go to the clouds. So then you start thinking, how do I get out of this building, and how do I build a helicopter that can actually take me to another level, right? So I think that's what you're seeing. I think that it's going to continue. I think that you have what can only be described as a great awakening amongst Black people. I think that over time, this is happening already. You're seeing something that I always wanted. I always dreamed of the day where mainstream Black people, famous celebrity Black people, were openly speaking about things like building Black businesses, building Black schools, Black economic independence, reparations. 10 years ago, that was a taboo, radical conversation. Now everybody's having it. So the natural progression of this is that wherever you are right now, like you being the builders and the pioneers and the ones who say, you know what, I'm going to go out here and we're going to do something different. I'm going to educate my own kids. I'm going to create my own job. I'm going to go out here and build wealth. I don't really need validation from these other people. You're just ahead of your time. Like in 20 years, everybody will be doing exactly what you're doing right now. And we're going to be doing it better. Like one day you're going to have multi-billion dollar companies, maybe started by some of your children, that will be the result of the what I consider to be a tremendous revolution in this community. I think they're going to do what we're doing also, though, when they look back at, things like, okay, Barack Obama being president, Kamala Harris being vice president, there'll be a type of pride there, right? Like there'll be a respect for it. But I don't think people will see that as true liberation for Black people. They'll see that maybe as a promotion for Black people. Like we got a promotion within an institution that is run by white people, right? That's not the same. So when you look back, for example, you look back at the accomplishments of the John Lewises or the Martin Luther Kings and things like that, that's not really comparable to the achievements of, say, a Marcus Garvey. Like, Marcus Garvey, or you could compare Marcus Garvey and W.E.B. Du Bois. There's really no comparison. Like Marcus Garvey was just, he really truly got the chance to really be, something that was almost like a king, right? He became such a threat that they went out of their way to trump up charges just to get him locked up, because they could not have him, out here doing what he was doing and liberating so many people. Whereas W.E.B. Du Bois, he was at Harvard and he was doing stuff, but it wasn't really a serious threat to the system. He was just writing articles and stuff. And they don't care if you're talking about certain ideas or whatever, if you sit around complaining about how mad you are at white people. But when you actually start building engines and institutions, then that's, I think, when you really become you become not just a threat, but you actually become a force to be reckoned with, right? So I think that overall, as Black people, I'm not impressed when a Black person gets a promotion from white people. It just doesn't mean anything to me, because I don't think that approval from white people means more than approval from Black people. I'm not a white supremacist. So if white folks promote you to go do some job and it's some stupid, shitty job, and you're proud just because they picked you instead of picking somebody else, I kind of feel sorry for you, because that tells me that your self-esteem is not evolved enough to the point where you don't understand. Like there's some people you want approval from, some people you don't. Like in high school, there were the popular kids and there were the unpopular kids. And all of us wanted to be friends with the popular kids, right? But the popular kids, a lot of times they were stupid. They were hooked on drugs. They got in trouble all the time. They were complete assholes. So why would you want to get the approval of a dumbass drug addicted asshole instead of finding truly good people to be connected to, people that you truly have something in common with, that actually care about you and you care about them? And I see that in this world too. A lot of people think that because some Negro got put on TV, or because Leor Cohen, put you out as a rapper so you can go rap about your vagina or rap about killing Black people all day, like somehow that's supposed to be Black excellence and Black success. That is not Black success. That is Black failure. That is almost embarrassment, in the sense that, it's just a proud form of slavery. So when I saw the Obamas going to the White House, I didn't see a successful Black man. I saw a Black man in a cage. I said, my God, this poor guy, he's got to go sit around and deal with all this racism all day long and go through it with a smile. He's not free. Barack Obama is not free. He can't go do whatever he wants to do. He's half the shit that I've said in this conversation, Obama couldn't say half. He couldn't say none of this without there being a price to be paid, a penalty, right? So I think that one step toward freedom might be letting go of that need for validation from people who are not important to you. Success and freedom, I think, should come down to, getting the approval of the people that matter to you. You got to figure out what people matter to you. So for example, I believe like you guys matter. Like I like the fact that I can do something that you see to be beneficial to your life. And that makes me feel good. But even then, sometimes I have to let some of that go, right? Like if somebody wants me to say something stupid or that I don't understand or that I can't appreciate, I'm not going to do that just to get approval. So who knows? Maybe you just need approval from yourself. I don't know. It's a deep conversation. But I can definitely tell you that low self-esteem, the fact that you don't know who you are, that makes you easily exploitable. No different from the way a little girl with low self-esteem who doesn't know who she is, she's ripe for the pimping. When pimps look for prostitutes, they don't look for young ladies with high self-esteem and loving fathers and options in life. They look for the little girl who got kicked out of the house, who nobody ever told her she was pretty. She ain't got a nickel in her pocket, and she doesn't believe that she can ever accomplish anything. That's the person that they want to mold, right? So for the moldable Negroes, there are moldable Negroes who are going through life without an identity. They're like, they need to file a missing persons report for some of these black people, put them on the back of a milk carton because they don't know who the hell they are. They don't know where the hell they at. And so people like that, unfortunately, are quite moldable because other people slap labels on them and that gives them their identity. Oh no, you're the vice president of the such and such, or now you're the manager of the blah blah blah, or you're the Negro of the year, right? So here's a trophy. So now you start putting these labels on and you say, oh, that's who I am. I'm a Walmart manager. Now I'm going to be a general manager at Walmart, and you start buying into all that stuff. And I think that the firmest people, the freest people I know are the ones who already have their self-esteem, who already have their validation, who already know who they are. You can't come in and re-identify them because they say, no, I know who I am. So I know exactly what I do and don't want in my life. And so I think that overall, when I look at it like a Kamala Harris, I don't blame her for doing what she's doing the way she's doing it. I think Kamala actually kind of knows who she is. Kamala doesn't see herself as a black woman, in my opinion. Kamala sees herself as every woman. I think she sees herself as, half Jamaican, half Indian. And if you really know anything about, like Jamaican culture is wonderful. Like, Jamaican people that I know on average, they grew up in families where they valued education. Some people from Jamaica, not all of them, I don't want to generalize, but a lot of the friends I know from Jamaica, because they have a different family upbringing, they kind of look at African Americans like you're kind of pathetic. Like, I'm just gonna tell you the truth. Like they're kind of like, damn, like, what do you mean you don't want to do your homework? What do you mean you want to sit and listen to a rapper instead of getting ready to try to go to medical school, right? Like culture is big, and we have slave culture. Like, we have a messy, dysfunctional culture at its core. That's why your greatest heroes in your community are, rappers who rap about the most disgusting, most destructive, most genocidal shit imaginable. And this is not something that everybody's doing. The rest of the world does not do what African Americans do. They like when you do it, though, because you're like the gutter of society in their minds. Because think about this process. I thought about this today. I literally didn't figure this out till just today. I said, man, I can't think of a single white rapper who does what Cardi B does. Like, who is the white Cardi B? Is there any white woman as famous as Cardi B, who's popping like Cardi B, whose album comes out and everybody listens to it like Cardi B, who's rapping about her vagina on every single verse, or what she might do with her mouth or whatever, right? Or what you're selling her vagina. Like, is there any white woman out there doing what Cardi B does? No, there is no white Cardi B. Miley Cyrus was the closest one I could come up with. I was like, well, maybe Miley Cyrus, but Miley Cyrus ain't popping like Cardi B. Iggy Azalea, ain't nobody checking for Iggy Azalea. Ain't no Iggy. Iggy's out there, but I follow hip hop. Iggy Azalea is not on the level of a Cardi B. I'm sorry. Iggy could come out with an album same week as Cardi. Ain't nobody gonna be talking about Iggy. Seriously. So, and then you go over to like the Migos. Like the Migos, again, just every negative stereotype you can think of about a black man, they portray all of that. They market that, right? And just broken English, just bragging about how ignorant they are, all the stupid stereotypes when it comes to financial irresponsibility, sexual irresponsibility, all of that. And I was like, where's the white version of the Migos? Is there any white rapper that's as famous as the Migos, who rap to their community about issues that are equally destructive. Now, somebody mentioned Tekashi 6ix9ine. He's not white. He's Mexican. Okay, Bad Bobby. See, but that's the thing. If you got a stretch like that, then you know that we don't have an answer to that. Because most of y'all don't know nothing about who no Bad Bobby is. She's out there. I know she's got followers and stuff, but she ain't on the same level as Cardi B or the Migos. So what that told me is that there's a role in society for the clown and the coon, right? There's a role for the court jester. There's a role for the disgusting, ratchet, sick, screwed up human being. And that role is typically preserved for Black people. Even Eminem is different in the sense that Eminem, if you listen to Eminem's music carefully, I listen to the rappers carefully. I study their lyrics to figure out what messages are going in the minds of children. Eminem has access to his humanity. Eminem is not rapping about his penis in a gun or shooting somebody in the head on every other verse. Eminem will rap about being on drugs. He'll rap about, growing up with a terrible mom. He'll rap about, how he used to love Kim. He'll rap about going into outer space. Like, Eminem is all over the place. He's not like a guy where you can predict what the next verse is going to be. A lot of our rappers are very predictable. Very predictable. I can literally write on a piece of paper, if I wrote 4 or 5 topics, I can almost predict like clockwork what the rapper is going to hit. I was watching with my students today. I was watching a video from 2 Chainz. He had this song back in the day called it was like the chorus is like, I'm riding around and I'm getting it. I'm riding around and I'm getting it. It's mine. I spend it. Right. So, of course, with me being a financial expert, I kind of found that interesting, particularly when you talk about the impact of the lyrics on the subconscious mind. When you're repeating something over and over in your subconscious, whatever you obsess about, that's what your life is going to be about. So just as a tip, don't obsess over negative things about yourself. Don't obsess about negative people and negative stuff because it's going to make your life negative. Constantly reinforce positive messages in your head. I am great. I'm special. I'm beautiful. I'm amazing. I'm extraordinary. I can't be stopped. Just like repeat things like that in your head because that's what's going to make you successful. Do not repeat negative things in your head because I've studied the subconscious. It will fuck you up. It will destroy your potential. So it starts up here. But anyway, in this song, I was just going through the video. I was like, okay, so look at the imagery in this video. I can predict that he's going to rap. First, he's rapping about money. He's going to say something about drugs, smoking something, drinking something, or popping something. There's going to be weapons in the video, and there's going to be like naked women. And so basically, what's happening is that the music is taking our whole community and having us all operate on a very low frequency. Like everybody's got that side of who they are, but the music is bringing that side out, and that becomes your entire culture. So what happens is you ultimately end up misidentifying just the most debased parts of humanity as being quote unquote Black culture. Like if you watch a show like Black AF, they define Black culture as basically a bunch of ratchet hip hop that you should really never be playing in front of children anyway. Again, if you really care about Black girls being kidnapped and sex trafficked and raped and all this other stuff, then why would you be sexualizing these girls at the age of 7? Like that doesn't make any sense, right? You're exposing them to stuff that a lot of us didn't even learn about until we were grown-ups. And you're exposing them to this stuff on a repeated basis, sinking into their subconscious mind through musical lyrics at the age of 6 or 7. And so some of these girls are getting involved in sex in elementary school because they're learning this from the media, right? So going deeper into that, I just really think that if you look at what's happening with the music and the fact that the people that are promoting the music, that are financing this, are not Black people, they're from other communities. People like Leor Cohen and others, they're making money by pushing things to you that they're not going to push anywhere else. Also, remember when the rappers are rapping about sex and drugs and money, they're really basically rapping it. All of it's about drugs. All of it's about, things that release endorphins, things that make you feel good. So they're basically drug dealers. Like everything, sex is pretty much a drug. I mean, you can become addicted to sex, like, right? Just like you can become addicted to drugs. So when they're rapping about sex, that's a drug. They're rapping about money. Studies show that money affects your brain like a drug. And then they rap about drugs, right? So when you talk about what happened after Dr. King died and how they pumped drugs into the Black community and all that stuff to basically distract you, because nobody's going to be no one's ever going to be threatened by a drug addict. Nobody feels or better yet, a drug addict is never seen as a competitive person, right? Somebody who's sitting there high on heroin, high on dope, or drunk as hell is not somebody that you really feel is going to be focused enough to be able to compete with you at anything. So if I really want you to become vulnerable, I can drug you, right? That's why, for example, you have rapists like Cardi B and other people who will drug their victims, right? Cardi B talked about drugging people. Bill Cosby was accused of doing it. Well, why do they drug them? Well, you drug them because they basically, once they're high, they're vulnerable. So Black people are constantly being drugged so that you won't be at your best. You won't be able to compete. You're not going to be, if you're into that culture, you're not going to be the smartest kid in school. You're not going to be the most ambitious person when it comes to competing for resources later on in life. You're going to pretty much be left behind, especially if you have your oppressor responsible for your education. Your competitor is educating your children, so they're going to keep your children stupid so their children can get all the rewards and all the benefits. So I just think that as Black people, we have to think about all of this and realize the role that white media has in the destruction of the Black community and the destruction of the Black family. So anyway, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. I'm gonna shout out a couple more businesses. We're marketing Black businesses for free on the Black Business School Instagram page. So if you have a Black business and you want us to give you free marketing on this channel, just follow the Black Business School on Instagram. Look up the Real Black Business School. It's the Real Black Business School. So let's see. I see CMOS Dad says providing God and Dr. Sebi approved herbs domestically and internationally. So it says CMOS Dad. He just gives his Instagram handle. CMOSdad.com. Sorry, CMOS Dad. You know what? I got some CMOS. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see. Here it is. Yeah, so tell me about CMOS. Does anybody know about CMOS? I heard it gives you energy. And I think it's working, but it might be a placebo effect. So I bought some CMOS, but it says Irish CMOS, an energy boost. So is it good? Did I make a good decision? Give me a yes or no. I don't know. I'm not an expert on this type of stuff. It seems to be working, but I don't know. Okay, so I see yeses. Okay, good. All right. So let me see here. Here's another business I'll mention real quick. You watch speaks to how much you value your time. Oh, your watch speaks to how much you value your time, says Eric L. Beats. Okay, his Instagram is 1518 watches. So you can go to @1518 watches, and they sell a lot of different watches. And then off the top entertainment.business. Off the top entertainment.business is a site where an entertainment company that supports upcoming artists of all genres. So if you're an artist, go to off the top entertainment.business. All right, so hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button. So let me go to two more points on this thing with Kamala Harris. Why 2/3 of you don't like Kamala Harris. Another person says the fact that she's willing to help every other group except Black Americans. Yeah, they asked Kamala about reparations, and her answer was really bad. It was really terrible. I put the video up on my Instagram. My Instagram is the Real Boyce Watkins. You can just look at her answer. It's not satisfactory at all. She basically said that the rising tide will lift all boats, and Obama said that, and we know that doesn't work because that's basically the liberal version of trickle-down economics, which Reagan did back in the 80s, which did not work. So I don't know why the liberals think they can get away with trickle-down economics when Ronald Reagan couldn't either. Let's see here. J Bay says she made several small lies dependent on her audience, reflects character. Plus, when she had the opportunity to implement change as a prosecutor, appears not much was achieved except locking Black people up. Why would that change now? Oof. Katie says the VP has no power anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Shan says her disregard to release evidence for a man on death row when he didn't even do it. The fact that she publicly stated on TV that she isn't interested in specifically helping Black people, though she specifically wants Black people to vote for her. Ooh, wow. So they specifically expect your vote, but they're not specifically committed to doing anything for Black people. That's really interesting. So maybe that's what you can say. Like, so when they say, are you going to vote for us? Maybe you could say, like, I plan to vote for all people. Like, all politicians matter, not just you. Right. I don't know. That would be good. Right. Like, I'm going to vote for everybody. I want everybody to win. I want everybody to have a good race. That's what I want. So I'm not going to vote for you because that would be unfair to the other team. Let me see here. One more. Let's see. Boyce, she's going to be the next VP. We understand you're a Trump supporter, but we don't feel bad for you. Hope you had a good 4 years. Well, that's a simple-minded answer. So people like that shouldn't be on my page, because that means if you really think that not being a Democrat means you have to be a Republican, that means that you're obviously a slave. All right. Black World Eyes. When and if Trump wins again, I would love to see the comments then. We are truly a lost race. No one is perfect, but we have one decision from two candidates. Honestly, I'm not afraid of Trump being in the White House. I really don't feel, I mean, Trump's presidency has not on any level harmed. Again, it'd be different if he was like every month passing a new law, like a mass incarceration bill, like Biden and Clinton passed, that's getting like thousands and thousands of black people locked up. I have not seen that, or when I say, well, what did Trump do that's racist? They'll say, oh, he wants to build a wall with Mexico. I'm like, no, I know a lot of black people that really would actually like to have the wall. Actually, there's an article in Bloomberg that actually says that a lot of the killings in Chicago are linked to a drug cartel, El Chapo's drug cartel, that was actually coming over into the United States illegally. Also, if you go to a lot of black neighborhoods, you'll see where there's a lot of union work or a lot of, construction type work that black people can't really get, because it's being given to other people from other groups, if you know what I mean. And it's no disrespect to anybody else. It just means that I don't think you should let somebody talk you into voting against your interest, right? So what happens with black people, here's what they do with black people that works like a charm. You emotionally manipulate black people. That's all you got to do. Black people are very emotional. So you scare them, right? Oh my God, if he gets elected again, it's going to be the end. He's going to make everybody a slave. We're all going to die. Or you use sentiment, right? You talk about the civil rights marches and John Lewis getting beat in the head and how your ancestors died for you to have the right to vote. And I just respond by saying, no, my ancestors didn't die for me to be forced to vote for anybody. My ancestors died for me to do what I want. And then what else do? You kind of express false outrage over issues that are relatively minute and somewhat to some extent contradictory in nature. Like, for example, you say, oh my God, it's an election year, y'all. We got to get together because so many black people are dying from COVID. Black people are more likely to die from COVID than white people. True, right? No, I mean, and nobody disagrees with that. Nobody disputes that, right? If anybody has someone in their family affected by COVID, which I have as well, then my heart goes out to you. I understand. I've had, I know people that have been affected as well. But, the thing that makes me confused is I remember, 2-3 months ago, notice the factors that are more likely to kill you from COVID are things like diabetes, heart disease, and obesity. That's why we're more likely to die, because white companies come in and they feed us crappy food in the hood, and we get all these health ailments because we like to eat what tastes good as opposed to what's actually healthy for us, right? Well, if you go back, remember, I keep pointing back to January when I was actually saying, I don't think that it's really healthy that Lizzo is telling people that you should be proud to be fat, that being obese is a good thing. And people said, oh, you're slut shaming or you're fat shaming or whatever. And I said, no, actually, you're health shaming. You're telling black people that feeling good or supporting what's popular is better than actually thinking about what's actually good for us. You're focused on what feels good as opposed to what actually is good. Sure, it feels good to say, I'm good. I'm happy. I'm still, healthy, even though I'm 400 pounds, but that has health consequences. If you're really concerned about black people dying, then you would pay attention to the hundreds of thousands of black people who die from heart disease and diabetes and strokes and all these other problems that come in our community because we're not eating right. Or if you're worried about black people dying from COVID, then why wouldn't you be supportive when we talk about the health ailments that are being mass promoted by white media, like telling you that it's good to be a black woman who's 250, 300, 400 pounds, right? It doesn't mean we don't love you. It just means that we have to love you enough to say that's not going to be good for you. That's not going to help you, right? So it's very contradictory. It's very hypocritical, right? Or another example I noticed was there was this whole outrage about black people dying from COVID, but at the same time, I would mention on my Instagram, well, 45 people got shot in Chicago this week, and a bunch of them were children, and a bunch of kids are dead. And people wouldn't give a shit. They did not care. They would get outraged about the death from COVID, but cared nothing about the death from homicide. And I was like, so you're just playing the game. You're manipulative right now. This is really strange to me. What's another example that I thought was really fascinating? Something else. It was Oh shoot. Oh, I know what it was. Here's what it was. Okay, so so COVID comes out, right? And they're telling everybody, stay in your house, stay in your house. Don't go to work. Quit your job. Right. And I was kind of like, okay, if people quit their jobs, how are they going to eat? How are they going to feed the kids? Right. But it was like rich people, like rich politicians saying stay home. But none of these politicians lost their paycheck. All these politicians still got their money, and but yet they're telling everybody stay home. And I was like, but no, well, let's follow the data so we can know when it's safe for people to come out so they can get back to work and go make money for their family. Say, no, we got to stay in because we can all die. Leaving the house, making somebody leave their house is equivalent to killing them. You're committing murder by making somebody come out of their house. And I said, actually, if you look at the data, you're not sending somebody to die if they leave the house, because the odds of dying from COVID, according to an MIT professor, the odds of dying from COVID on an airplane are 1 in 4,000. In fact, I think he said the odds of catching it were like 1 in 4,000. It was something crazy. So they got mad at this MIT professor for simply stating facts, for stating statistics, right? And so they were playing a game. I didn't like that, right? So it's because the game was, if we crash the economy, we can win the election. So if we take your job and force you to starve to death, and then it'll be worth it because we'll get Trump out of office and we'll get in power again and everybody will be happy. Well, no, I want people to have their jobs. I want people to be safe. Yeah, but if you have a 99.95% chance of survival, I think it's okay to go to work. I mean, I know people that go to work in hoods where you got maybe a 2% chance of being shot on any given day, and they still get up and go because they got to feed their family. Soldiers go to battle where there might be a 30-40% chance that they may not come back. God bless the veterans that are in the room, because you truly put your life on line. Cops go to work knowing they might get shot that day. My dad went to work for 25 years as a cop, knowing that he might not come home that day. But we never once said, well, since there's a 2% chance you might die, you need to stay home and we're all going to just sit here and starve. No, my daddy did what he had to do. So with COVID, I wasn't with that. That whole, I was like, you have a 99.95% chance of survival. What the fuck is wrong with you? I'm not saying that this was not real. I'm saying y'all you've lost your fucking mind. That fear is so crazy and real that it just distorts your reality. You don't even have a chance to live anymore because you're so frozen in fear. And so to me, what was really hypocritical to me was, on one hand, they're like, don't leave the house. The governor of New York was like, going out of the house is death. Going to work means death. Leaving the house means death. And I'm like, can't you just give people information without fucking trying to scare the shit out of them? Must you be so goddamn dramatic? Give us some data. Give us some numbers. Let us know how soon you think we might be able to get back to normal. And now the governor of New York, his big problem is he's scared people so much that they've left the city, and many people still are scared of coming out. And now he's like, oh no, please come back. We need you to come back. We need your money. No, you just scared the hell out of people. Now they ain't never coming outside. So the other thing too was I was like, okay, how in the hell, on one hand, you're telling people that you shouldn't go to work ever again because you might die, because there's only a 99.95% chance of survival. But then when the protests begin, again, it's all politics, right? Now the protests are happening, right? So now we got a chance to really mess up Trump big time. So then they're encouraging you to go out and protest. So I was like, if you're telling people that they shouldn't leave the house to go to work, they shouldn't leave the house to go to school, they shouldn't leave the house to go to church, but now you're telling me that they should leave the house to go protest? Like, you're supporting this, like by painting Black Lives Matter on the street and doing all these other things? That's confusing to me. And then when the numbers start spiking, they're like, well, the protest didn't cause the spike. It was because people, it was because of the conservative states. They didn't want to shut down, or they opened up their, man, come on. I'm just not stupid enough to exist in that space. I'm just not dumb enough to fit in to mainstream politics. It is so stupid to me and so blatantly hypocritical. It is so blatantly hypocritical that it's ridiculous. And I can't participate in none of that, man. I really think if you want to keep your sanity, I would say do what, you know what Alicia and I have been doing? And she's a professor too. And we have real PhDs. Like, we're real professors she's a real full professor. We're not people that are, like people call themselves doctor just because it sounds good. No, we really have real PhDs. So we're not stupid people. We think about everything, and we have intellectual conversations a lot. And one thing we decided to do was we just stopped watching the news. Like we don't watch the news. We're like, no, we don't, and I was pleasantly surprised to find out that a lot of other people feel the same way. There was a study that showed that the news media has lost a ton of credibility with the public because they are so goddamn biased. Like there was a study, and it makes me so sad because there was a time where you could trust the media to at least try to give you the objective truth. Journalists took pride in getting you the facts. Now people only they selectively pick their facts. Like for example, I've noticed that with COVID, because they're hanging on to this COVID narrative, is very profitable. I mean, they're there's a lot of money made when everybody's watching your channel because they're so scared. But notice on the headlines, they'll always talk about the number of cases. But what's interesting is that people are becoming immune to these new headlines every day, like, oh, the number of cases, 1,000 new people, 2,000 new people. They're becoming immune to that because the number of cases is not correlating to the number of deaths. Like I was looking at the state of Illinois where I live, and I think last week there was one day where one person in the entire state died from COVID. One person, and I think the person was like 80, 82 years old. One 82-year-old died. That's not enough to make 10 million people stay in the house. It's just not, so I'm just tired of it, man. I think, that's why it's hard to get inspired about the politicians, because I don't know why they have to lie so much. I don't know why they have to be so manipulative, but maybe it's a reflection of how bad our system is. I know it's also a reflection of the fact that as a culture, as a society, we don't educate our children very well. Our school systems are terrible compared to other parts of the world. So we're just not critical thinkers. And the manipulation is coming. I mean, we make fun of China because they use so much propaganda and they try to control what people think. We're not that far off from China. Oh gosh, I'm just sneezing like crazy. So that's probably my cue to get on out of here, guys. I hope that what I was saying, I know I sounded a little bit crazy, but I hope that what I'm saying is understood by at least some of you, even if you don't agree. You don't have to agree with everything. I just want you to think for yourself. Just please think for yourself, because that's the only way you're going to get out of this. You're in a trap. You're born in the trap. When you're black, you're born in a rat trap. And the only way you can get out of that rat trap is if you stop thinking like a rat. You got to start thinking smart. You got to start thinking bigger. You got to start looking beyond the confines of whatever white supremacist infrastructure you were born into. And that's how you can become successful. That's how you can become free. I don't care who you vote for. Vote for Biden, vote for Trump, vote for Donald Duck. It's totally, you're not going to get any judgment in this space. So anyway, I'm going to go, guys. Peppermint tea. Okay. I might try that. Alicia loves me and she'll make me some peppermint tea if I ask for it. And don't worry, I don't have coronavirus. And if I did, I ain't scared because the odds of dying are very, very low. Even if you catch it, the odds are like 1%. And that's if you're old. So no, I don't get up every day afraid of the virus. I keep my mask. I socially distance. I wash my hands and I go on about my life. All right. So please hit the thumbs up button, share and subscribe before you go. If you want to get on the list and get free stuff from the Black Business School on investing and building wealth, we're big wealth builders here. Go to firstshareofstock.com. Somebody please type that in, firstshareofstock.com. And I'll get you completely started on investing. And you can also get a lot of free stuff from us. So take care, guys. Have a good day. It's good to see you. Talk to you later. Peace.